Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my podcast. My name is Lynette. Today we're going to talk about It's Their Reality. Have you ever known someone, and I think we all have, that says things in a quirky way or is just different to the way that we do things and say things? And if the first instinct is to judge that person, but then when you stop and think about it, everybody processes things differently, looks at things differently, talks differently, because they are all a product of the environment they were brought up in. I'm going to share with you an experience that I personally had, and I just figured it out like last week. And that is Christmas. And this is certainly appropriate time for this example. But always in growing up, Christmas was a very special time. I would get so excited, and it felt like new beginnings. Even though I know it is a religious holiday, it felt very holy to me. I can't explain the inner excitement, the inner peace. I guess the way to explain it would be, as I just said, I felt like it was new beginnings. And then when I became very close to this certain individual, I didn't have that feeling. I tried and tried to get it. I did everything, watched the same shows that I watched, put up the tree, did everything that I normally did, but I just wasn't getting that feeling. And then I realized, as I said, it was only last week, I realized this person was sucking the joy out of me. And I don't think it was intentional on their part at all. But what I do think is that their experiences in enjoying Christmas probably was not the same as mine. So therefore, it did not have the same feeling as I did. For example, I would work so hard to make it nice. Then Christmas Eve would come around and this person would stand just within earshot of me and complain about all the work involved. And it would just drain me. It would take away all my excitement. So when I realized it was this individual that was basically sucking my joy, and I know we've talked about that in an earlier episode, not letting people steal your joy. However, I didn't realize that what was going on. And then like a week ago, it went off like a light bulb because I don't know if it was talking about getting things done, preparing, and the attitude I was getting with it. So I wanted to say something, but I didn't want to be too harsh because if you were raised in an environment and you were never taught a specific thing, or for some reason, whatever that reason may be, the experience was not that of a positive nature or maybe was not that exciting to you. So you didn't have that excitement within yourself. So I didn't say you're sucking the joy out of me, but what I did say is you should be happy that people want to be with us on this holiday. You know, again, it goes back to gratitude as well. It's like we have to be grateful for the people that are in our lives and not look at it in a negative way or that it's a lot of work, but look at it in a positive way and get excited about it. I mean, these people want to spend one day of the year with you at your home, and that is certainly something to be excited about. And you can't walk around grumble, because nobody wants to be around that. So after I said that, I realized, and I'm going to refer back to what we said a few episodes ago about not letting someone steal your joy. I realized I can just walk away. When I'm getting that grumble within earshot, I can just walk away from it. However, I also realized that maybe his experience wasn't as good as my experiences. So all I can do, well, for one, I don't want to take away my own joy, especially now that I recognize what has happened. I can certainly be an example, and I think by saying something nicely is being grateful for the people that do want to be with us is certainly a start. Because there's people that are around us that haven't had the same experiences that we've had. But what we can do is, if we have had a positive experience in one category, we can certainly be an example and let our joy shine. Again, it goes back to don't let somebody take your joy. Just be who you are. Enjoy the moment. And therefore, somebody observing might wonder why this is so joyful to you and it hasn't been joyful to them. So I think actually a gift we can give people is to set examples for finding joy in something that maybe was not joyful to them, or for whatever reason, they don't seem to experience it the way that you're experiencing it. Another example I'm going to share with you about, we are a product of how we were raised, and we only know what we were taught, what we experienced, or the environment that we grew up in. That is, I was never taught to give thank you cards when I received a gift. And I know now people don't give those as often because it's all computerized or whatever, but at the time it was. And I wasn't quite old enough to where I had reasons to give thank you cards, but nevertheless, I wasn't taught to do that. So since that time, I did have a couple of occasions where I did receive gifts, and I should have sent a thank you card. But because I wasn't taught, it wasn't even a thought to me. And I know some people get very upset when you don't thank them in writing, or they used to anyway. Again, it goes back to we are all a product of what we're taught, the environment we grew up in, our experiences, and not only us, but people around you. When you're around people or observe the people that are in your life, maybe they act a certain way that they act because of their own experiences within the same situation that you had. Maybe their experience wasn't as good as yours, or maybe yours wasn't as good as theirs. But nevertheless, we can all learn from each other. We can all learn through experience. We can all set examples for each other. And especially, that goes back to not letting somebody steal your joy. Have you ever been in a situation where you know you should be happy, you should be joyful, it's a positive situation, but yet you're just not? And when you look around and you see possibly who you're with or the attitude of the people around you, that it is almost contagious. People can set a mood for how you're feeling. And sometimes it takes a while to recognize that. But once you recognize it, that's when you can put out the fire and walk away and feel the joy that you are meant to feel. There are many, many situations. There are many scenarios that play out in those situations. And if you are around someone that isn't acting the way that you think they should, all it means is their experience in a similar situation was not the same as yours. And it could work the opposite way as well. I mean, you might be not so happy repeating a certain experience that was not that positive for you when you were growing up. But possibly somebody else could introduce it in a more exciting way to you, to where you're healed from that experience and you look at it differently as well. And that goes for everything. That's why we can't judge people. We can't judge people for the way they handle experiences, for the things they say, for the things they do and don't do, because they're all a product. Everybody's a product of their environment. I personally think one of the best things we can do is pretty much what we're doing right now, is working at recognizing maybe those shortcomings either on our part or the people around us, and working on transitioning it to a better, more positive, more exciting experience. As we've talked about over and over, the past is the past. You don't want to look at the past. It can set a negative mood. But if you do recognize that you're doing something that isn't making you happy, and you want to observe it closely and think, am I not processing this correctly? Especially if you see other people around you enjoying the same experience in a more positive way. Because, and listen to this closely, you don't know what you don't know. So when you see other people not responding or reacting the way that you think they should, you got to understand that they don't know what they don't know. And maybe in a good way, in a nice way, you can share your experiences with them. Or, as I mentioned earlier, just simply be an example. Because everything we go through, every good thing, for example, the holidays, we should enjoy it. And if somebody's not enjoying it, there's something that possibly happened to them around the same situation, and we can help put joy back into their lives. Instead of judging them and being mad and angry that they don't seem as excited about something as you are, recognize it for what it is. They don't know what they don't know, or they didn't have the positive experiences that you had. It doesn't mean that their way is wrong. It's not that they're resisting. It's who they are. It's a product of their environment. And as I said, this always goes both ways. It could be you who's resisting, who's not enjoying it. And if that should happen, you need to take a look at yourself and think, why am I resisting this? Why am I not accepting it for the positive situation that it is? And maybe you can watch other people and go by their example. Or if you see it in somebody else, then you become an example for them. And as I mentioned earlier, around Christmas, that in itself is an amazing gift. Because there's nothing more pleasant than being around someone who's not only positive, but seems to enjoy life, that lives in the present moment, and enjoys every minute of what's going on. There should be laughter, there should be joy. And if there's not, then you do need to look at yourself. Or if it's not you, if it's not your situation or your environment, then possibly the people around you. But nevertheless, it can be remedied. And I think you need to start by observing. I know that when I said to that person that they should be grateful for the people that want to be with us, suddenly my joy came back. Because for years, I didn't realize why I was missing that feeling, what happened to it. And once I recognized it, and once I said something about it, without being harsh in my statement, then I started to feel that joy again, that excitement. And it wasn't what I thought. It wasn't the music, the movies, the tree. It was an inner feeling of excitement, of joy. So again, if you're not feeling like you think you should be feeling right now, look at the environment around you. Look at the people around you. Look at yourself. And once you recognize what is going on, what is sucking your joy, then you can regain it. Then you can get it back. So if you're around someone that's not feeling the joy, don't take away your own joy, but feel your joy and live by example. We cannot aggressively change anyone. We're incapable of changing someone's feelings, someone's thoughts, but we are capable of setting a positive example. With that being said, I wish all of you a joyful holiday season in whatever you do, however you celebrate. God bless you. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.